Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Jai Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Mr. Bhagavad Paramahansa Parajikacharya Ashtotter to the Sri Srimad Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Vishnupad Paramahansa Parajikacharya Ashtotter to the Sri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Okay, time out. I'll be right back. Not what you thought. Okay. Oh. Okay. Okay, so we're going to be on page 43. Yeah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this third day of December 2018 in SanDiego, a reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are in the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita as it is, entitled Observing the Armies on the Battlefield. And we'll read text 19, page 43. Sagosho datarastranam. Yeah. Vidyani Vidarayat Nabascha Prativim Chaiva Tumalo Bhyanunadayan Sagosho Datarastranam Vidyani Vidarayat Nabascha Prativim Chaiva Tumalo Bhyanunadayan Sagosho datarastranam Vidyani Vyadarayat Nabascha Pratavim Chaiva and Tumalo Bhyanonadayan. Okay, either one of you want to try it? Go ahead. Sagosho datarastranam Vidyani Vyadarayat Nabascha Pratavim Chaiva Tumalo Bhyanonadayan. Go ahead. Sagosho datarastranam Vidyani Vyadarayat Nabascha Pratavim Chaiva Tumalo Bhyanonadayan. All right, I'll say the synonyms myself. Saha, that, Goshaha, vibration. Datarastranam, of the sons of Dhritarashtra. Vidyani, hearts. Vyadarayat, shattered. Nabaha, the sky. Cha, also. Pritavim, the surface of the earth. Cha, also. Eva, certainly. Tumalaha, uproarious. Abhyanonadayan, resounding. Translation. The blowing of these different conch shells became uproarious, vibrating both in the sky and on the earth. It shattered the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra. So these conch shells, first of all, it's Krishna blowing his conch shell, Panchajanya, and Arjun blowing the Devadatta. They all have names. And then Yudhishthir and Nakula and Sahadev, Bhima, they all blew their conch shells, and the sound was uproarious, and it shattered the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra, because it foretold their doom, their death. Purport. When Bhishma and the others on the side of Duryodhana blew their respective conch shells, there was no heartbreaking on the part of the Pandavas. Such occurrences are not mentioned. But in this particular verse, it is mentioned that the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra were shattered by the sounds vibrated by the Pandavas party. This is due to the Pandavas and their confidence in Lord Krishna. One who takes shelter of the Supreme Lord has nothing to fear, even in the midst of the greatest calamity. Okay. Om jnana timirandasya jnanandana shalakaya chakshu unmidatam mena tasmai shri gurave namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So this is actually a really big thing. The fact that if one is have taken shelter of Krishna, his fear is dissipated. Fear is a concomitant factor in the material world, because our situation is always very tenuous. We like to forget that and try to have the illusion that we have all this security. We have our strong body, we have our family, our bank account and homes, and we have the Defense Department and the police. But we know, if you just study human condition, that at any time disaster can strike, and ultimately it's all blown away by the winds of time. So this is a situation of great fear, as Krishna says, dukkali mashastratam, that this world is certified as an abode of unhappiness, and it's temporary. Any condition you have is temporary. So how can one transcend this fear? The fear is caused by being trapped in a body, in a physical body, because this body is not natural for us. We as souls are eternal. Najayate mriyate vakadachan. There's no birth, there's no death for the soul. So we're in an incompatible situation. Due to false ego, false sense of self, we're identifying with this delicate, fragile, destructible body. And that's why the living entity is always in fear. And that's why the spiritual world is called Vaikuntha, the place where there's no anxiety, there's no fear, because there's no time, there's no decay, there's no death, and things like that. So, taking shelter of Lord Krishna means to be situated in one's natural position again. And Prabhupada would often give the example of a little child who doesn't know how to defend himself, but he's holding on to his father, his hand, and he feels confident, you know. So Krishna is the Supreme Father. If we actually hold on to his lotus feet, then we can transcend all this fear. And even at the time of death, it's just like, as Krishna says, like taking off an old coat, you know. And there's so many instances. We're reading now in the morning the story of Dhruva Maharaj. Now, Dhruva Maharaj was the son of a great king, Uttanapada, and he was insulted because his stepmother said that he couldn't sit on the lap of the king. You know, you have to take birth from my womb, you know. So even as a small boy, 5 years old, he was very determined to redress the grievance. He went to his real mother, and she said, well, your stepmother gave you the right instruction. You have to go find God. He can help you. Where's God? He's in the forest. So he started going to the forest. Little boy, you know, all these dangerous animals. So Narada Muni tested him. He said, you're too young. I'll teach you yoga later. You go back home. But he said, well, oh great sage, I have great respect for you, but if you're not going to instruct me, I'm going to go out anyway. So he went out, but Narada Muni did instruct him, and he gave him the process of bhakti yoga infused with all kinds of extreme austerities and things. But he was determined to get this kingdom that was greater than Brahma's eternal kingdom. So in the course of his activity, he performed these severe austerities while chanting Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, worshipping the deity, visualizing the Lord in his heart. And he completely lost his desire for the kingdom. He saw Vishnu. Vishnu came down, and he became completely fearless. He wasn't fearless out in the middle of that forest. So he's a great example, and so is Prahlad Maharaj and others, even though they're children. So this is very important. The Dhritarashtra's sons, who were nefarious, they were not dharmic, they were very much afraid. But on the side of Arjuna and Yudhishthira and Krishna, the sound of the conch shells was very auspicious, because blowing of the conch shell, especially when Krishna blows his own conch shell, you can imagine how auspicious that sound is. So this is just a foretelling of the result of the battle, that the Duryodhana and his brothers realized that they were going to be defeated. Okay, text 20. Ata vyavastitan drishtva datarastran kapidvajaha pravitte shastra sampate dhanurudhyam yapandavaha Vishikesham tadavakyam idam ahamahipate. At that time, Arjuna, the son of Pandu, seated on the chariot bearing the flag marked with Hanuman, took up his bow and prepared to shoot his arrows. O king, after looking at the sons of Dhritarashtra drawn in military array, Arjuna then spoke to Lord Krishna these words. Purport: the battle was just about to begin. It is understood from the above statement that the sons of Dhritarashtra were more or less disheartened by the unexpected arrangement of military force by the Pandavas, who were guided by the direct instructions of Lord Krishna on the battlefield. The emblem of Hanuman on the flag of Arjuna is another sign of victory, because Hanuman cooperated with Lord Ram in the battle between Ram and Ravana, and Lord Ram emerged victorious. Now both Ram and Hanuman were present on the chariot of Arjuna to help him. Lord Krishna is Ram himself, and wherever Lord Ram is, his eternal servitor Hanuman and his eternal consort Sita, the goddess of fortune, are present. Therefore Arjuna had no cause to fear any enemies whatsoever. And above all, the Lord of the senses, Lord Rishikesh, was personally present to give him direction. Thus all good counsel was available to Arjuna in the matter of executing the battle. In such auspicious conditions, arranged by the Lord for his eternal devotee, lay the signs of assured victory. Okay, text 21 to 22. Arjuna vacha senayodabayo madhye ratam stapayamechyuta yavad etan nidiksheham Yodhukama navastitan karmaya sahayodhavyam asmin rana samudyame. Arjuna said, O infallible one, he's speaking directly to Krishna, O infallible one, please draw my chariot between the two armies so that I may see those present here who desire to fight, and with whom I must contend in this great trial of arms. Purport. Although Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, out of his causeless mercy he was engaged in the service of his friend. He never fails in his affection for his devotees, and thus he is addressed herein as infallible. As charioteer, just one note on Prabhupada's use of this word infallible, he uses it in two ways, which are kind of unorthodox. One is, here you can see the less common way, cannot fail. And the other one is cannot fall. He uses it often to in the context of the name Achyuta, which is used here in the first line, Ratam Stapya Me Achyuta. Achyuta means one who can't fall. Fall under the sway of Maya. Krishna never falls under the sway of Maya. He's the master of Maya. So he's called Achyuta. And here is his will can never fail. As charioteer, Krishna, had to carry out the orders of Arjuna, and since he did not hesitate to do so, he is addressed as infallible. Although he had accepted the position of a charioteer for his devotee, his supreme position was not challenged. In all circumstances, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Rishikesh, the Lord of the total senses. The relationship between the Lord and his servitor is very sweet and transcendental. The servitor is always ready to render service to the Lord, and similarly, the Lord is always seeking an opportunity to render some service to his devotee. He takes greater pleasure in his pure devotees assuming the advantageous position of ordering him than he does in being the giver of orders. Since he is master, everyone is under his orders, and no one is above him to order him. But when he finds that a pure devotee is ordering him, he obtains transcendental pleasure, although he is the infallible master in all circumstances. As a pure devotee of the Lord, Arjuna had no desire to fight with his cousins and brothers, but he was forced to come onto the battlefield by the obstinacy of Duryodhana, who was never agreeable to any peaceful negotiation. Therefore, he was very anxious to see who the leading persons present on the battlefield were. Although there was no question of a peacemaking endeavor on the battlefield, he wanted to see them again, and to see how much they were bent upon demanding an unwanted war. So Prabhupada makes some interesting points here. The special relationship between Krishna and his intimate devotees. Krishna is, of course, the master in all circumstances. And he's known as Ajita. He cannot be conquered. But it is said by Lord Brahma, Jnane priyasam udapasya namantaheva jivandi sanmukaditam bhavadiya vartam stane stita shuddhikatam tanovan manoba ye prayaso ajita ditopasitais trilokyam. Is that if one gives up all of one's personal efforts in trying to understand the Supreme, through speculation, through meditation, and simply in staying in his own position. You don't have to go to the forest, you don't have to do anything radical. But he takes up the practice of hearing the realized pure vibrations emanating from the mouth of the pure devotee. Jnane priyasam udapa. Priyasam means a great effort, this ascending process. Imagine if you didn't have any of these books, or you didn't trust any books, and all you could rely on was your own speculative knowledge and your own senses. How difficult it would be to try to approach the Supreme. Krishna says, Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavata. I reserve the right of not being revealed to anyone and everyone. Only by bhakti can I be known. Krishna responds only to love and affection and devotional service. So that's what this verse is all about. Brahma, in the Brahma Vimohan Leela, he tried to challenge Krishna's supremacy with his own mystic power. Why shouldn't he be confident? He lives for 311 trillion, 40 billion years. He has 4 heads. He's the original living being in the universe. He knows all mystic powers. He's got all these. So he was, just to teach us, he was put into a little illusion there, and he tried to, he couldn't fathom the inconceivable, how this little boy, he wasn't even herding cows at that time, he was just herding calves, 5 years old, 4.5 years old, and he's out with his friends in the forest, that this is the Supreme Lord? This is my father, Mahavishnu, Gormadiksha Vishnu, you know? It doesn't compute. So he said, well, I'll just play a little trick, see what happens. So he hid the boy. He didn't hurt anybody, but he hid them, put them under slumber, a mystic slumber, so they were out of commission. And then Krishna, well, first the calves went off wandering, and Krishna's taking lunch, and they forgot about the calves, and they wandered off. So the boys were in anxiety. He said, don't worry, you just stay here on the bank of the Yamuna, and I will go find these calves. So he goes to find the calves, can't find the calves, comes back, and the boys are missing. Now it's just Krishna alone. So he understood that it was Brahma who did it. So he showed his mystic power right then by expanding himself into an equal number of calves and boys with exactly the idiosyncrasies and the personal dress of every boy and the same idiosyncrasies for every calf, because the mothers know, you know. So he didn't want anyone to be disturbed. He says, if I go alone now back to the village, what are the people going to think? They're all going to be in great anxiety. Where's my son? Where's my calf? So all the same. So everything just went on as normal for a whole year. He just kept going out into the forest. You know, of course, the Gasur was there, his corpse, but somehow they didn't notice that. So then, after a whole year was almost up, Balaram, who was also bewildered, he didn't understand exactly. He was Balaram. He said, there's kind of something weird going on here. The whole ocean of love in Vrindavan is increasing beyond its bounds, even more than normal. In other words, the mothers are showing even more affection to their sons, and the cows are just mad to go after them. In fact, after almost a year, there were some cowherd men with some cows up at the top of the hill, and they saw the Krishna calves. The calves were actually Krishna down at the bottom, and they couldn't stop them. They couldn't stop these cows. They were so mad to go and to lick their calves and to give them some milk. So Balaram said, what is this? This is not normal. So he asked Krishna, and Krishna revealed it to him. But these are actually all me. So the point is that in that pastime, he allowed himself to be fondled and controlled as a little boy is by his mother, and the same thing with the calves. He agreed. So what happens is that after the whole thing is over, then Brahma has these prayers which are very important. They're very critical prayers. Many commentators, you know. So one of the most important is number 3, and it's this Jnane Priyasam. Jnane Priyasam Udapasya Namanteva. Give up all of the great effort at trying to understand the Supreme on your own. This is Priyasam, means great effort. Udapasya, give it up. And Namanteva, you offer your obeisances. Jnane Priyasam Namanteva, Jivanti Sanmukaditam. Sanmukaditam means from the mouth of the pure devotees, from the Sat. Bhavadiya Vartam, your news about you. In other words, recounting of your pastimes and qualities, of Krishna's pastimes and qualities. Of your pastimes and qualities. Stane stita means stay in the position. You don't have to do anything radical. Whatever you're doing, you keep doing, but you add this, Shruti-gatam, you follow this path of hearing. And then comes this very key phrase, Tanu van manobir. In other words, you're not just listening, and then going about doing your business, your same business. You're serving these vibrations with your mind, your body, and your words. Tanu van manobir. Tanu means with the body, means the senses. Van is the voice, and manobir is the mind. Meaning that you listen with rapt attention, you take the vibrations in, and you try to act according to them. You repeat them with your body. You serve them, and you try to enact. And you think about them, you really meditate on them. And if you do that, then ye prayaso jita jito, ajita jita. Then the ajita, the inconquerable Lord, becomes conquerable by you in this world. It's the only way in this world to do it. Now, how can you conquer him? Because you develop love. That love is developed by ardent hearing and serving the Lord, according to what you hear from the Shastra. That's the way. And then Krishna agrees to come under the control, just like he does with the Yashoda Mai. That's the most graphic example. You know, she's control. We just had the Damodar month. It's celebrating this control, this binding. As we sing this song. He's bound not by the ropes, but by the love of his mother. You see. So this is completely unknown to the impersonalists, the yogis, the tapasvis, you know, who are not willing to really surrender to Krishna. So that's Arjuna. Now, in that situation, in that position, Krishna is submissive to his devotees. He likes that because he knows that they're doing it out of love. The gopis are chastising him because he's running away in the rasa dance. Mother Yashoda is chastising him because he's breaking the yogurt. He does these things just to get chastised, just to develop that intimate love. So this is the unique quality of Krishna, especially in his Vrindavan Leela. And the relationship between the Lord and his servitor is very sweet and transcendental. This is the idea. Okay, so at one point here, Arjuna had no desire to fight. And one of the most amazing things he says in the next chapter, at the beginning, before he surrenders, he says, you know, I can't imagine shooting arrows at my teacher, Dronacharya, grandfather Bhishma, who loves us and we love. You know, what to speak of all these friends and relatives on the other side. I don't want to live if the sons of Dhritarashtra are not there. The sons of Dhritarashtra, who led by Duryodhana, who conspired to assassinate them and kill them and burn them alive in the house of life. And here he is forgiving that. He says, better I go off to the forest, they can have the kingdom. So this is the heart of a Vaishnava. For his own self, he didn't care about the kingdom. He finally fought because of Krishna. And you can see the great devotion that was there because it was against his whole gut reaction. In terms of his, you know, what he wanted to do, he wanted to just forget about the fight. Because here's all the dear devotees, you know, dear friends and relatives and worshipable teacher and like that. He said, forget it, I don't care. But he said, but this is not solving my problem because I know that Krishna wants me to fight. And so then the whole Gita is spoken on that basis. Clear everything up. Okay, let's go on. Text 23. Yotsyamana naviksheham yaete tva samagataha datarashtrasya dubudher yuddhe priyachikirshapaha. Let me see those who have come here to fight, wishing to please the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra. Purport. It was an open secret that Duryodhana wanted to usurp the kingdom of the Pandavas by evil plans, in collaboration with his father, Dhritarashtra. Therefore, all persons who had joined the side of Duryodhana must have been birds of the same feather. Arjuna wanted to see them on the battlefield before the fight was begun, just to learn who they were. But he had no intention of proposing peace negotiations with them. It was also a fact that he wanted to see them to make an estimate of the strength which he had to face, although he was quite confident of victory, because Krishna was sitting by his side. Sanjaya Vacha Eva Mukto Rishikesho Gudakeshena Bharata Senayodabayo Madhye Stapayit Bharatotamam. Sanjay said, O descendant of Bharat, I have thus been addressed by Arjuna. Having thus been addressed by Arjuna, Lord Krishna drew up the fine chariot in the midst of the armies of both parties. In other words, between the armies. Purport. In this verse, Arjuna is referred to as Gudakesh. Gudaka means sleep, and one who controls sleep is called Gudakesha, the Isha of sleep. Sleep also means ignorance. So Arjuna conquered both sleep and ignorance because of his friendship with Krishna. As a great devotee of Krishna, he could not forget Krishna even for a moment, because that is the nature of a devotee. Either in waking or in sleep, a devotee of the Lord can never be free from thinking of Krishna's name, form, qualities, and pastimes. Thus, a devotee of Krishna can conquer both sleep and ignorance simply by thinking of Krishna constantly. This is called Krishna consciousness, or samadhi. As Rishikesh, or the director of the senses and mind of every living entity, Krishna could understand Arjuna's purpose in placing the chariot in the midst of the armies. Thus he, Krishna, did so and spoke as follows. So this thing of conquering sleep, of course, famously the 6 Goswamis were able to conquer sleep. Nidra hara baharaka adi vichito. So they conquered nidra and ahara, eating, and vihara, which is recreation, in other words, sex. They completely transcended practically the need. Raghunath Das Goswami, you know, he's eating like every third day a handful of buttermilk, and then when Rupa and Sanatan disappeared, he stopped that. He wasn't eating anything. And somehow he was surviving on air, breathing, sunlight, I don't know. And as far as sleep goes, they got 1.5 hours, if that. Prabhupada said sometimes they didn't have that. They would meet and just share, you know, the day's writings. They would read sometimes at Radha Damodar temple. We learned that the first time you go there, that the Goswamis would meet at Radha Damodar temple. You can imagine, you know, a day's writing, all the nectar. I was just, you know, going through some of the writings of Rupa Goswami, and he's writing, you know, verses like, how does it go? Tavachakadakadambam stambate prekshakeki nayanakamanada lakshmi vandate Krishna sara alavalamalakandam nauti pashyeti radham sumadanamanashangsam bhati kunje vihari. This is one verse from an ashtaka he wrote, the second Kunja Vihara ashtaka. So this is a verse describing how Krishna is praising Radharani. So when the peacock, who's very proud of his tail feathers, you know, the beauty, when he sees the wonderful arrangement of your hair with flowers and everything in it, he offers his obeisances to your hair. Oh no, he's become stunned by seeing you there. You can't dance anymore, you know. And Tavachakadakadastambade prekshakeki nayana kamala lakshmi vandate Krishna sara. When the deer are known for 2 things: the musk, fragrance, and the eyes, doe eyes, you know. So when they see your lotus eyes, Radharani, they offer their obeisances. You know, we've been out done. And when the bees, so these bees, there's different kinds of bees. I did some research here. I mean, I learned the other day that there's hundreds of species of bees, but basically there's bumblebees and honeybees. And the honeybees, we know, they're smaller and they have hives and they make honey. They're mostly yellow. But these are the black bees. Have you ever seen these big black bees, very shiny? You know, by the way, there's been a big fall off in insects. You may not see so many insects anymore. Have you noticed? Anyway, we don't notice them. But anyway, it's called the insect apocalypse. I won't get into that right now. But assuming that there are these black bees still around. So they have this, their attractive feature is that in the sunshine, you know, that shiny, sheeny blackness is very beautiful. So these black bees, they, what does it say? So they praise with their buzzing the beautiful glossy hair, or black hair that Srimati Radharani has. So Krishna is praising her. Nauti, meaning they glorify. Pashyeti Radham. Just see, O Radha, how these black bees are praising your shiny curly hair. Somebody Nayana Kamala Lakshmi. In this way, Krishna, who enjoys in the forest of Vrindavan, very sweetly praises Srimati Radharani. So this is what they're writing on, this is what they're meditating on, creating these beautiful verses for us, for all time, for posterity. And Raghunath Das is also writing his Stavavali, and Jiva Goswami is writing his Sandarbhas. So they're meeting and sharing shlokas, and you can just see who wants to go to sleep. You know, it's so enlivening. They're all, you know, and it's practically daybreak. It says, well, maybe we should get some sleep, Jiva. You know, he says, no, tell me some more shlokas. You know, so sometimes they wouldn't even have time for the sleep at all. And eating, you know, whatever they got, little contribution, Raghunath, hardly anything. You know, there's no question of sex life. So nidra hara vaharikadi vijito. They actually conquered over it. So all of these are needs of the body. And when you're really vibrating at a very high frequency, you know, on Krishna prema level. The body is practically neglected. They were very skinny. They didn't have a place to eat, sleep. You know, I mean, they had a place to sleep under the tree. They didn't have an actual home, and they would wander around and write most of the time. So this is Gudakesh here. Arjun, he apparently had conquered sleep in many instances. So simply by thinking of Krishna constantly, Prabhupada says. A devotee can conquer both sleep and ignorance simply by thinking of Krishna constantly. So we should try to do that. Okay, let's go for a few more verses. Bhishma Drona Pramakata Sarvesham Chamahikchitam Uvacha Partha Pashyaitan Samavetan Kurunita. In the presence of Bhishma, Drona, and all the other chieftains of the world, the Lord said, "Just behold, Partha, all the Kurus assembled here." Purport. As the super soul of all living entities, Lord Krishna could understand what was going on in the mind of Arjuna. The use of the word Rishikesh in this connection indicates that he knew everything. And the word Partha, meaning the son of Pritha or Kunti, is also similarly significant in reference to Arjuna. As a friend, Krishna wanted to inform Arjuna that because Arjuna was the son of Pritha, the sister of his own father, Vasudeva, he, Krishna, had agreed to be the charioteer of Arjuna. Now, what did Krishna mean when he told Arjuna to behold the Kurus? Did Arjuna want to stop there and not fight? Krishna never expected such things from the son of his aunt Pritha. The mind of Arjuna was thus predicted by the Lord in friendly joking. Okay. So, let's see, we have a couple more minutes. Tatra pashyat stitan partha Pitrin ata pitamahan Acharyan matulan bratrin Putran pautran sakings tata Shvashuran sudidash chaiva Senayor ubayorapi. There Arjuna could see within the midst of the armies of both parties his fathers, grandfathers, teachers, maternal uncles, brothers, sons, grandsons, friends, and also his fathers-in-law and well-wishers. Purport. On the battlefield, Arjuna could see all kinds of relatives. He could see persons like Bodhisattva, who were his father's contemporaries, grandfathers, Bhishma and Somadatta, teachers like Dronacharya and Kripacharya, maternal uncles like Shalya and Shakuni, brothers like Duryodhan, sons like Lakshman, friends like Ashwatthama, well-wishers like Kritavarma, etc. He could see also the armies which contained many of his friends. Tan samiksha sakaunteya sarvan bandhu navastitan kripaya padaya vishto vishidan idamabravit. When the son of Kunti, Arjuna, saw all these different grades of friends and relatives, he became overwhelmed with compassion and spoke thus. Arjuna vacha dristvemam swajanam Krishna yuyutsum samopastitam sidanti mama gatrani mukam cha parishusyati. Arjuna said, "My dear Krishna, seeing my friends and relatives present before me in such a fighting spirit, I feel the limbs of my body quivering and my mouth drying up." Purport. Any man who has genuine devotion to the Lord has all the good qualities which are found in godly persons or in the demigods, whereas the non-devotee, however advanced he may be in material qualifications by education and culture, lacks in godly qualities. As such, Arjuna, just after seeing his kinsmen, friends, and relatives on the battlefield, was at once overwhelmed by compassion for them who had so decided to fight amongst themselves. As far as his soldiers were concerned, he was sympathetic from the beginning, but he felt compassion even for the soldiers of the opposite party, foreseeing their imminent death. And while he was so thinking, the limbs of his body began to quiver, and his mouth became dry. He was more or less astonished to see their fighting spirit.
Practically the whole community, all blood relatives of Arjuna, had come to fight with him. This overwhelmed the kind devotee like Arjuna. Although it is not mentioned here, still one can easily imagine that not only were Arjuna's bodily limbs quivering and his mouth drying up, but he was also crying out of compassion. Such symptoms in Arjuna were not due to weakness, but to his soft-heartedness, a characteristic of a pure devotee of the Lord. It is said, therefore, in this verse he already quoted in the beginning of the purport, Yas yasti bhakti bhagavate kinchana sarvai gunais tatta samasate sura harava bhaktasya kuto mahanguna Maronatena satidavato bahi. One who has unflinching devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead has all the good qualities of the demigods. But one who is not a devotee of the Lord has only material qualifications that are of little value. This is because he is hovering on the mental plane and is certain to be attracted by the glaring material energy. Bhagavatam 5:18-12. So Prabhupada would often quote this verse, that Krishna consciousness brings out the godly qualities in everyone. We already have them. They're innate, but they're buried. They're obscured by our material conditioning. So when you practice Krishna consciousness sincerely, Krishna burns up the impurities from within, and you develop these qualities that are actually already there. Because after all, we're originally with Krishna in the spiritual world. Amamai Bangso Jiva Loka, that everyone is an anksha or a part and parcel of Krishna. So how did we lose that? By turning away from Krishna. Bhayam dutiya benaveshita ishara petasya viparyo asmati. We forget due to turning away from Krishna and becoming absorbed in this energy. Dvitiya anabhinaveshita. And that's the source of all fear. We were discussing earlier how Srila Prabhupada mentioned that one can be free of all fear just by being Krishna conscious. So that means turning again toward Krishna and becoming absorbed in Krishna, relying on Him. One of the principles of surrender, Rakshishchatiti, Vishvaso, Goptudvevaranantata, two principles. To be completely convinced of Krishna's protection and His maintenance. You heard of this little idiom called Yogakshema? Krishna says in the 9th chapter, Yogakshema Vahamyaham. For devotees who are always thinking of me, relying on me, I preserve what they have, I provide what they need and preserve what they have. So that yoga, in this context, is the necessities of life. Roof over your head, clothes, enough food, safety, like that. The safety actually is the kshema. So yoga and kshema. So if one is surrendered to Krishna, then he's confident of Krishna's protection, even in the greatest danger. That's the kshema. And goptridve vadanantata, he's confident of Krishna's maintenance. So he doesn't worry so much, he doesn't spend all his time thinking, oh, how can I get together all of the things I need to live? And how can I defend? You can't defend. Any soldiers you may have, or fallible soldiers. And this is at the beginning of the 2nd chapter. So Arjuna was in that position. But he momentarily, for the sake of having the Gita spoken, he fell into a kind of a bodily concept of life, seeing all his friends and relatives and understanding the imminent danger they were in, and in his part in it, he displayed his compassionate side. But in doing so, he deviated from Krishna's will. So the whole Bhagavad Gita will be spoken. So he has these qualities. All of these divine qualities have developed in him. But how can anyone who's not a devotee, harav abhaktasya, kuto mahadgana, where's the great quality of such a person? Because even if they may show something that seems to be a good quality, their mind is on the chariot, manoratena, and in the next moment they're showing that they have no divine qualities. Davato bahi, always running outside. The mind is always running outside on the or the soul is running on the chariot of the mind, and so they cannot develop any real divine qualities. So we should try to develop those qualities, let them come out, and live the divine life. That's what this is the real divine life society. Okay, so it's time for resuming our reading of the First Sankirtan party. I brought my... You know that Lord Chaitanya began the first public Sankirtan 500 years ago when the Qazi in Bengal, he stopped the Kirtan. They were running the Muslims. And this Qazi, who turns out to be a great devotee in the end, he went around, broke the Mridanga drum, terrorized the devotees. And so when they told Lord Chaitanya, we'll see about this Qazi, you know. And so he said, everybody get torches, and tonight we'll have the huge kirtan. So they had hundreds of thousands of people came out at night. And we're in the middle of reading about this. So, let's see. So you may remember the ladies with their auspicious vibrations. I never did that. The ulu. Have you ever done it? So here he says, even in 100, this is the author, Vrindavandas Thakur, describing, he says, even in 100,000 years, I cannot describe the ladies' auspicious vibrations and their chanting of Hari's name, of Krishna's name at this kirtan. Huh? Chaitanya Bhagavad, Adi Kanda, Madhya Kanda, chapter 23, text 255. So I've got to get this thing organized. Just give me a second here. Okay. Okay. Those who saw the Lord dancing down the road were unable to control their emotions. On seeing such compassion and on hearing such crying, even the greatest debauchees fell to the ground weeping. Shri Gaura Sundar danced and called out, chant, chant! Just like we say Hari Bol, so he says, bol, 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 Bali. He said, chant, chant. His body was decorated with an enchanting flower garland. He wore a Brahman thread and a dhoti with 3 corners tucked in. The body of the lotus-eyed Lord was covered with dust. Tears of love flowed from his eyes like the currents of the Ganges. The minds of those who saw his face were no longer attracted to the moon. The thin stream of liquid that flowed incessantly from his nose looked like tiny strings of pearls. Tiny string of pearls. The Lord's beautiful curly hair was wonderfully bound and attractively decorated with a garland of jasmines. "O Lord," he said. No. They were chanting to him, "O Lord, please give us the benediction that this pastime may remain in our hearts, birth after birth." We can ask for that benediction too. All the worlds asked for this benediction as the son of Shachi danced down the road. The dear associates of the Lord danced in front, like Advaita and Nityananda, like that. And the Lord of Vaikuntha danced behind. Lord Chaitanya knows how to glorify his devotees. He acts according to the desires of his devotees. In this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees danced down the road by the side of the Ganges. The Lord of Vaikuntha danced throughout Nadia, as the devotees sang his auspicious glories in the 4 directions. "O bewildered people, chant the name of Hari. Even Namabas delivers one from the fear of Yamaraj." So this is apparently Lord Chaitanya said this. Gaurachandra, whose lotus feet are served by the demigods headed by Brahma, danced in the midst of this chanting. Vishvambar, the Lord of the universe, danced on the bank of the Ganges. All the people were happily took the dust from his feet on their heads. So this is like a song. Have you ever seen it in CC where sometimes they break into 4 lines? There's a 4-line format for the Bengali also. I forget what it's called, but that's what he's doing now. So he's like, it's like a song. Nachi Vishambara, Jagata Ishvara, Bhagirati Tire Tire, Yana Pada Duli, Hai Kutahali, Sabai Dadila Shire. Like that. I'm not very good at it. He displayed wonderful symptoms of ecstatic love. Tears flowed from his eyes, and he roared loudly. He raised his hands and smiled as he chanted the name of Hari. The body of Gaur was more beautiful than that of Cupid. The fine cloth he wore and the flower garland adorning his curly hair acted like the 5 arrows of Cupid. His transcendental body was smeared with sandalwood pulp, and his neck was adorned with a garland of forest flowers. Out of ecstasy, the son of Shachi tottered to and fro. His 2 eyebrows resembled the bow of Cupid. His forehead was decorated with dots of sandalwood paste. His teeth resembled rows of pearls. His face was enchanting, and his nature was an ocean of mercy. I am unable to describe the hundreds of wonderful transformations of love, such as tears, shivering, perspiring, hairs on end, and fading of bodily luster, which manifest on his body. Sometimes he stood in a threefold bending form and pretended to play a flute with his fingers. His walking like a maddened elephant pleased the eyes of all. Krishna. An enchanting Brahman thread adorned his chest, which was filled with compassion. It appeared that the glorious Ananta had assumed that form with a desire to touch the Lord. Nityananda Chandra and the son of Madhava were on either side of the Lord. As his dear associates performed kirtan, the Lord looked at them and smiled. Shiva forgets his clothes by constantly chanting the glories of that Lord, who was now enjoying kirtan pastimes throughout the streets of Navadvip. Kamala, the goddess of fortune, desires to see the dress, the body, and the hair of that Lord who was now rolling in the dust of the streets of Navadvip. Got to be careful not to point that to Prabhupada. I cannot describe the happiness that was manifest by the illumination from the millions of torches and the rays of the moon. No one in the entire world uttered anything other than the name of Hari. Hare Krishna. On seeing these wonderful pastimes, everyone was overwhelmed with ecstasy. They all looked at one another and exclaimed, Haribol! That's Haribol. Nityananda always knew what form the Lord's ecstasy was taking. When the Lord was about to fall, Nityananda stretched his arms out to support him. Mahaprabhu grabbed Nityananda and sat down in the posture of Virasana. In a joyful mood, he then slapped his left side, smiled, and chanted, Hari Hari! Sometimes he openly declared, I am Lord Narayan. I killed the demon Kamsa, and thus became known as the enemy of Kamsa. I am Vamana, who deceived Bali. I am the king of the Raghu dynasty, who built a bridge over the ocean and killed Ravana. The Lord would roar loudly and reveal his own glories while looking in the 4 directions. Who can understand the truth of his inconceivable glories? In the very next moment, he would take a straw between his teeth and beg for devotional service while calling out, O Lord, O Lord! All of Gaurasundar's pastimes, such as putting his toe in his mouth, are most enchanting. He's obviously in ecstasy, Vrindavandas. Lord Vishwambar, the Lord of Vaikuntha, danced throughout Navadvip, which the Vedas will later reveal is non-different from Shvetadvip. No one could count the wampers, mridangas, kartals, and conch shells that were vibrated. The best of the Brahmins danced amidst the tumultuous vibration of Hari's names. All glory to the Sankirtan procession. Is this Bengali? Jaya 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 Nagara Kirtan, Jaya Vishwambara Nritya, Vingshapada Gita Chaitanya Charita Jaya Chaitanya Rabrita. All glories to the Sankirtan procession, all glories to the dancing of Vishwambar, all glories to the 20 verses that describe the characteristics of Lord Chaitanya, all glories to the servants of Lord Chaitanya. So I think he's in the midst of these 20 verses. Hare Krishna. In whatever direction Lord Vishwambar glanced, everyone floated in the waves of ecstatic love. I, Vrindavan Das Thakur, sing the glories of Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. In this way, the Lord of all joyfully performed kirtan in all the towns of Navadvip. The uninterrupted sound of everyone chanting the names of Hari penetrated the universe and entered Vaikuntha. Upon hearing that vibration, Sri Gaurasundar, the Lord of Vaikuntha, jumped high in ecstasy. The waves of the Lord's ecstasy could overcome a maddened lion. On seeing that manifestation, everyone's happiness increased. Lord Gauranga first danced along the path on the bank of the Ganges in Nadia. After first dancing for a long time at his own ghat, Gaurhari proceeded to Madai's ghat. After passing by Barakon ghat and Nagariya ghat, he went through the Ganga Nagara to Simulia. Millions of large torches burned in the 4 directions, and millions of people chanted the name of Hari in the 4 directions. The entire scene looked most wonderful in the moon rays. No one could tell whether it was day or night. At every doorstep there were auspicious items like bananas, clay pots filled with water, mango twigs, and ghee lamps. The demigods showered champak and mallika flowers from the sky. The flowers that were showered on Navadvip appeared like the tongue of Mother Earth. Understanding that the Lord's lotus feet were most tender, the goddess extended her tongue in the form of those flowers. Srivas, Advaita, and Haridas danced in front, while Gaurchandra danced behind them with his associates. As soon as Gauranga entered a different neighborhood, everyone left their household duties and came running. Upon seeing the moon-like face of the Lord, who was the life and soul of the world, everyone fell to the ground to offer obeisances. The ladies forgot their husbands, children, homes, and wealth, and made auspicious sounds and chanted the name of Hari. Millions and millions of Nadia residents all became intoxicated in the ecstasy of Krishna consciousness. Some danced, some sang, some chanted the name of Hari, while some forgot themselves and rolled on the ground. Some made noises like various musical instruments with their mouths, and some climbed upon others' shoulders in ecstasy. Some grabbed others' feet and cried, and some tied others' feet with their hair. Didn't expect that, did you? Okay, so it's going to be the cure time. We're going to have to continue this tomorrow. Is that okay? We're already at verse 316. Yeah, that's a long chapter. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
How much longer to go?
You know, I forgot to look. It's a while, because we still have to get to the Kazi's house and that whole confrontation.
Maybe like 12 or 15.
After this Christmas, good.
Unless we go to the early
Krishna. No, this is Santa.
Not Krishna.
Yeah.
Not
No. That's crazy.
Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine
Krishna Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale
Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschacharita Sarine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Jaya Radharani, Hare Radharani, Hare Radhe. Jaya Radharani, Hare Radharani, Hare Radhe. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvajikacharya Ashtotar to the Sri Srimad Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. ISKCON Vibhuti Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvajikacharya Ashtotar to the Sri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnavinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktavinda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyam Radhakund Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadip Mayapur Dham ki jai. And Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. Jagannath Swami ki jai. Ganga Mehi ki jai. Yamuna Mehi ki jai. Tulsi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Transcendental Book Distribution ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. If anybody needs a sheet for the words, it's okay. There you go. Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Yato yato yanitato nisingha Bahir nisingho Rindahe nisingho Nisinghanati sharanam prataje Bhavakara kamala varenaka Agita Singha Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tarumbrika Keshavamrita Narahari Rupa Jagadita Hare Jagadita Hare Jagadita Hare Bhavakara kamala varenaka Dalita hiranyakashipu Tanumrika Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Sabakara kamala varena kamavita shinga Dalita hiranyakashipu Tanumrika Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jagadita Hare Jagadita Hare Jagadita Hare Sabakara kamala varena kamavita shinga Dalita hiranyakashipu Tanumrika Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jagadita Hare Jagadita Hare Jagadita Hare Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jai Hare 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 Jai Bhagavan ki jai, Bhagavan ki jai, Govinda Hare
Son, can you bring the cartoon down so I can clean it with right now?
You might have to use, where, not in the D, the one that's black.
Yeah.
I don't, Duncan has, like, strings.
Yeah, but that was
Oh,